Still spinning?
It was seamless last time. Didn't it seem like it was?
No, it was a few minutes. It was less than this. It was more than less than this because we didn't have to reboot.
Hey, we're live.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Brian says we're live.
Thumbs up over
We're
there.
live. Let me get into the chat here. Yes, we are live.
All right, everybody. You see us on YouTube here.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, Dirty Bone Media. Appreciate everybody who's following this handle. This is our AskJr portion of the show. It's brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. So appreciate Nationwide for supporting the podcast. Matthew Dillner is going to pull our questions. One of the questions that we had for you guys is we were talking about Eric Almirola and how kind of wild and way off we thought his comments were about how he was raced by Joey Logano. And we're trying to think of if I have ever been in the same situation and said anything completely ridiculous after a race.
Yeah, we're basically trying to think if you've ever whined like a little, like a whiner.
Whatever.
It was wrong in it.
Yeah, any kind of wrong, baseless, whiny comments.
Whiny whiners.
I'm sure there's some out there.
Hold up, on the track, because we have a lot of those moments off the track.
We'll take anything.
If he's a whiny whiner, right after a race, right before a race, anything like that,
Whatever
it
you
was
got.
completely off base.
Hey, we have somebody saying the audio sounds good, so that's a good thing.
All right. Yeah, last week we got some
We did.
we got some reviews on our audio, and we tried to make that better.
It's always
So
getting reviews. I mean, good reviews, bad reviews. Luckily, the book's been getting good reviews. AskJr mixed, but we're getting there. Hey, one person already chiming in. We can give a little question while the room populates here. Somebody chiming in from the UK noticed when you used to drive on the ovals, you put both your hands at times to one side when you turn the wheel. Just wondering why you did that and how you held the wheel typically on a road course.
on a road course, I would drive 10 and 2, unless it was a big corner. Then I might get over here and tug on it like this. Martin drove that way. They called it the Arkansas pull. But
Where he was like this?
Yeah.
And so you drive down a straightaway, and as you're starting to go into the corner, you move your hand over here, and you just get more leverage on that steering wheel, and you just go to town, getting that thing worked through the center of the corner. If I drove like this, I don't know, I couldn't do that through the corner. It just felt weird to have your hand up here in your way. I don't know. It's the way I always drove. I think my father drove the same way, and for me, I think I think it's not an old school way. It's just a different way. Because I've seen guys from in-car cameras of the 70s and 80s driving at 10 and 2. Brad Keselowski drives this way, and I've tried it in a test, and it's weird. You get used to doing it one way, and you can't change those habits. Good question though.
18 Diego wants to know. This is a good one. Off-season podcast.
Off-season podcast?
Yeah. With question mark. Are there going to be any off-season podcasts?
Matthew wants to know if we're going to do any podcasts. So I guess we could
No, this is 18 Diego, man. It's not me.
Well, all right. You get to choose which questions you want to ask, so I know you're influence this. I guess we could negotiate this right now. What you think, Mike? Should we do any podcasts during? I think we could. No problem.
I think we could if there's moments that warrant it. I think that we ultimately need to kind of hit a little master reset and leave everybody with their holiday season. But if there's things that need to be addressed.
What if we dropped one in December and one in January?
That's not a bad idea. Here's one thing is that we're going to be redoing our studio. So, it's not like we could just pop in here. We're going to be doing some construction here.
Yeah, we are remodeling to a little bit bigger space to try to give you guys a little something better to look at than this
We got
crap.
to be able to stretch out.
Dale, you always used to pick on me on a few of the questions that I'd choose. Like, if you were on a desert island with Martin
Now here it comes.
and they don't come from me, man. I'm telling you, we're right here, Mysterious 623. This is actually a pretty cool one. If you could build a 4-car cup team with past or present drivers who have never won a championship.
Oh my God! I mean, who's in the pool?
Who would you choose? I mean, there's some good guys that haven't won championships.
Well, I need to see the list. So I'm a list guy.
I mean, Mark Martin would be an obvious choice on there.
I put
Tim Richmond.
Mark Martin, Denny Hamlin. And before anybody complains about my choice of Denny, he's won every race. But he's won every race, but he hasn't won a championship. So kind of like Mark Martin in that sense. Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
Ooh,
We didn't even talk about
that's
that.
a really good one.
Well, he was just there this weekend, so
So
that's
it's
why
on your mind.
it's fresh on my mind. Man. And Chase Elliott. I mean, that's a no-brainer because the guy's probably going to have a great career, and I'm going to get on that train early. So put him on my team now.
So Mark Martin is the only non-current driver on your
Carl
team.
Edwards.
That's true. Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
I just saw it. All right, there you go.
That hasn't won a championship.
Yeah. Good.
Martinsville Speedway.
Yeah.
Martinsville Speedway actually chiming in here.
Hey, that's awesome.
The track.
I mean, the track.
The track
Somebody
is
has track.
chiming in.
Yeah, the track is a lot.
They have a great social media handle.
Yes, they
which
do.
a lot of tracks do.
Yeah. The Martinsville's pretty cool, though. They're cool in all parts,
Yeah.
man. Big fan. They said, please respond. Where's your Martinsville win car? We know where the clock is. Where's the car?
Holy cow. I don't know.
They probably kept it.
No, I bet I got a side or something somewhere. They probably did chop it up and put it in trading cards or some crap.
Well, you do have a side panel from that paint scheme on your wall in the Dirty Dome.
Yeah, but that was from a wreck. I don't know.
Was it? Yeah, that's.
That side. I got parts of that car somewhere, but I don't know that I've got the whole thing. The chassis I did not get, so it would have been the shell, the side, the roof, the hood, something. More than likely, though, it did get chopped up and put in trading cards.
Hey, I like this. Somebody just commented. This isn't a question, but Kevin Carter, thumbs up to you for this. Been through a concussion process himself. Your book has inspired me to go back to the doctor.
Hey,
thank
yes.
you.
That's all the book needs to be doing is trying to inspire people to take care of themselves. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Colby Chancellor chiming in. Dale, what do you think led to the culture change, so to say, of hard racing drivers of the 80s and 90s and the gentlemen, let's talk and get along, / whiners that we have the last 2 years? That's a bold question.
That is a bold question. There's a lot that's changed in the sport. You know, we all live we all live together on the weekends in these motorhome lots, and the drivers spend a lot of time in close proximity to each other. Social media in general. So if you get into it with a guy, you better be ready to be seeing, hearing, reading, talking, being asked about, discussing that issue for quite a while. It's not over and done. Like if you run over a guy and spin him out for a win, you're gonna hear about it for the rest of that week, and then when you go to that track again 6 months later, you're going to see all those clips and shit, and they're going to be running that stuff and promoting that race, using all that stuff over and over again, and you're probably going to get asked about it when you go back to that racetrack. So I think that might, in a way, deter guys from going through that process, you know. I know it certainly wasn't a lot of fun for me whenever it happened. Anytime I was caught up in any kind of controversy, it was more pain in the ass than anything. You know, so I try to avoid that as much as possible. And I think that has, you know, you go on social media, if you want to, everybody, you know, wants to have activity on social media, wants to be able to promote themselves on social media, but you go on there and you got to hear everybody's opinion about what you did the past weekend. Like Joe Logano, I really didn't think the guy did anything wrong. And man, he's catching hell. People booing him at the intros this weekend. Everybody's comments after the race about his move being classless doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, for that win, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're going to win the race, it's worth it. But if you're trying to do it and you don't win the race, is it really worth it? You know, you go through that a couple times, maybe you think twice about doing it, you know, the next opportunity. I think a lot of people say and act a certain way to try to quell that media storm, you know, to try to muffle that as much as you can, and try to keep that fire from burning too bright and too loud and too hot, because you just really don't want to put up with it. Race car drivers want to race. We don't mind knocking each other out of the way for wins, but dealing with the repercussions and the public perception afterwards and the noise, you know, in the media throughout the week, the rest of the week can be difficult.
Some person on here actually thinks Mike Davis that they've always said that you look like Tony Uri Sr.
Him?
I mean, these people need some glasses here, but
we got to get better cameras. We got to get better cameras.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's got the hat on covering the silver fox.
You want to weigh in on that, Mike?
No, I've never heard that. I've been told I look a lot like Carl
No.
Edwards, and I get that.
Freaking question.
Really?
I get that. I get that.
Not that. You want
it's
to
the
weigh
abs, it's everything else. But no, I've never heard Tony.
Do you want to weigh in on the one before that?
What was that?
Could you ask that question again? The one before?
He just asked if I looked like Tony Gary Senior.
No, the one before that I was talking about.
I have to go back. I don't know where that. What
we were talking about the drivers from the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah. So the drivers from the 78, 80s. What was the real thing the guy said that led to the drivers being these tough, hardcore racers of the 80s and 90s to the now let's be friends with each other whiners of the last few years? They said.
The question is, what led to that?
Yeah.
Too much money, too much insulation. Like ourselves, we are part of the problems. This PR reps, this marketing reps, we coddle these little bitches, and they sit there. And they complain and they get entitled, and they're not that. Most of them ain't even that good. They don't even need to be. They don't deserve motorhomes or jets.
Oh
and they
God.
think they're entitled to them, and they just need to go out and shut up and race.
Glad you asked
Drivers need to shut up and dance. If we say dance, they need to dance for however long we tell them how to tell. They just need to shut up and dance. All this stuff that the drivers complain about, they just need to drive a car. Kind of like the Dixie Chicks. They just needed to sing.
My
Drivers
God.
need to dance.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
I don't
Are you okay?
Nah, I'm just playing. None of that was true.
All right.
Hey, somebody did chime in. I can't see their name now. That wanted to know what was your favorite part in particular. Is there a favorite part of the book that really just resonates with you?
Oh man, I mean the book. I think the part with Amy, I guess, talking about my wife. I think it was important for me to. If it was important for me to clear the air on some things there with her, and then explain to people what she did through that whole process.
Somebody was chiming in and asking before. This chat room is just blowing up. It's scrolling
Good.
everywhere.
Well, after what Mike
this is
just
awesome,
said, I
man.
can understand why.
And now it's going to be like bing, 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 bing. Wanted to know how often do drivers get mad and scream in the car without actually keying up?
I don't know. We don't know. Do we know? How would we know? Would a tree?
Well, you're a driver, so maybe
if
you
a
can
tree
speak from
falls
your
in the
perspective.
forest and no one's there to see it, do you hear it? I mean, what the fuck? What kind of question is that?
Well, we know. We know Kurt Busch keys up, so
I've done that. Okay, so this goes back to the the drivers of today being different than the drivers of the past. Like I would get so sick of hearing people talk about or play or complain about my comments on my own radio during a race.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of times I just quit talking on the radio, and when I wanted to complain or bitch about something or be whiny, I just stopped doing it, and I would just scream or cuss instead of keying the mic. I just cuss and raise hell in there by myself.
Oh, to have a recording of of those moments when he's not keying the mic, that would be hysterical.
Yeah, there's times when I've MF'd
Tony
certain people, and they'll never know.
Tony Jr.,
Yeah.
Tony Sr. probably
They'll
got
never
caught.
all right.
Your transmissions were gold back in the 8 days.
Well,
Yeah.
the ones you heard.
That's
All right, somebody chiming in here saying, "What do you think of one of your nicknames? This is a nickname that you don't hear very often, but I think Marty Smith was one of the ones that used to call you this at time to time. Redneck Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
that always made me uncomfortable when he would say
Yeah.
that.
Is it because of?
Because of what?
I mean, you're.
Oh, God, is this the part where you go, "I'm a man of the cloth"? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're going to say?
You're a deacon.
I was. I mean, my term is over.
Oh,
But
is
yeah.
it?
No. It's just I know you, and you're like whatever is the opposite of a narcissist. What is that? A humble guy? I don't know what the opposite of a narcissist. But it's like so when Marty Smith would say, "Hey, look, it's Redneck Jesus." And you're like, what are you supposed to say to that?
I
mean, it's
know.
like-
How do you
I never knew.
respond?
I never knew how to respond to it, but I always took it as a compliment. I never took it as anybody. I was very sensitive to being picked on, being so damn short all my life. When I was a kid, I was really really short, and so I get really critical of anybody trying to nickname me or do anything like that. So because I always feel like somebody's trying to pick on me.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's
You
interesting.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I never felt that way when Marty Smith or anybody would ever call me that. But it's a bit of it felt like a bit of an overstatement.
An overreach.
Yes,
Yeah.
an overreach.
Few people wanting to know who's going to drive for JRM next year. Well, we already announced one of them.
Yeah.
So, hey, you'll just have to stay tuned, right?
Yes.
There you go.
We
That's a great
are
one.
not talking about that right now.
That's
Yeah.
right. Listen, I just a little quick break in the action. I had put out there for some help on Twitter, come up with the time when Dale Jr. was a whiny baby, and,
Oh,
and his assertion was wrong, and nobody can really come up with anything. I think that we were right in this, that we can't think of anything. They said, well, not Dale, but his fans. Yeah, sure. So that's fun, but we're not talking about the fans, we're talking about Dale. Never whined about anything, even after a race, took whatever for whatever
Y'all are
happened.
being too nice now. This is your moment to really say what you
Lay
think.
into it.
Yeah,
I'm trying
give it
to
hell.
encourage that,
Come
right?
on,
And
give it
just give
hell.
me permission to give him hell. Just give him hell.
When was he wrong? And he was just and
It's happened many times.
we listen. We'll be full disclosure. We were talking about Amarola complaining about Joey Logano, and we didn't think that Logano did anything wrong. He was just racing him, and he says that Logano shouldn't have been racing him that way because Logano's already locked in. And we're like, well, you can't ask a race car driver to do something like not race hard. So we were like, when has Dale Jr. ever been just kind
Way
of
off?
yeah, just way off? And every time, we have had times when you have, called somebody a nickname or
Yeah.
called, but you feel like you were well justified because you got wrecked, and that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A few
Sure
people
it is.
chiming in to talk about this, and hey, if they're asking for it, give the people what they want. Sir Jack Sports Show wants to know what would your thoughts of NASCAR going electric or running an E Series like Formula E say?
I don't know if I'm into that, but I'd still broadcast it. I just I don't know. I need to really know about the technology and how it could or couldn't be manipulated. So that would be the only thing.
I like that answer. Give him the facts. Don't go just knock it. Don't
Yeah.
don't go jump to a conclusion and feel like you have to take a side. Just decide. Just present your case, and then we'll decide on it.
Yeah,
Right?
It sounds like it's a little bit heavy on the technology side and expensive.
Somebody said the time at Michigan with Mark Martin. I don't remember the events, but I remember you saying you were pissed off.
So that was way off. They felt like I was way off.
They thought you were way
Yeah.
off.
Oh, what was it again, Dylan?
So
There's-
I remember this. We were racing at Martinsville Michigan, and coming off of turn 2, Mark ran me in the fence, and I had to lift and lost a handful of spots, 6 spots or something. I'd been running 8 or some shit all day long, and then I was going to finish 14th, and I was so mad because I want to finish where I think I was supposed to finish, and Mark is my teammate.
Yeah,
And he came off the corner like, hey,
I remember that.
you're not even there.
Yeah,
Screw you.
I remember that.
And so I got out of the car and I said, damn it, Mark, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was like, what, Mark? No, Mark don't do that. Mark never do that, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And even Mark was like, I don't really remember that. But,
Oh, I remember it now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He did you wrong.
yeah, I felt like it. So, but I appreciate you. Somebody found one that they thought I was way off, whether that,
That's what we wanted.
yeah. There we go.
It's
Trying to be
interesting.
honest. Trying to be transparent.
I remember after I said that, most people were like, you're way off. I remember that. I remember the reaction that week to those comments were, Junior, just hush. So I remember, so maybe a lot of other people might agree with this guy.
Zach brought up something that we've already alluded to, and I was just asking you about it, but it's interesting to hear somebody else remember it. I never heard him whine about the race or gripe about other drivers, except for Robbie Gordon that one time at Bristol.
All right, so Robbie, I was running in 10th or so with a handful of laps to go. This is the same race, I think, where me and Tony Senior might got called to the hauler for cussing, raising hell over the. Yeah, they threw a late yellow. We were running 10th. We had a real fast car, and I just wanted to get as many cars as I could with what little laps we had left. Robbie Gordon was a lap down, racing in the top 10 with the lead lap cars, and I was like, damn, Robbie, get the hell out of the way, and he wouldn't. So I hit him and knocked him out of the way, and I went on about my business trying to pass as many guys as I could, and so when we come down pit road after the race, he ran in the back of my car and knocked the radiator out of his car. I mean, tore his car all to hell. And so I jumped out, and one of his crew chief, or not his crew chief, but one of his crew members came over there running their mouth, and that was the guy I was flipping off, not Robbie.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So his crew come over there, and I was ready to fight.
You were.
I was ready to get my ass whooped. Yeah. If that's what I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna fight, basically you just have to be ready to get your ass whooped.
Okay.
Be willing.
And if you're willing to get your ass whooped, you're ready to fight. So, I don't know. I was feeling pretty froggy that day.
And then it probably came all down when they said, "Please report to the NASCAR hauler.
Yeah.
Mike Hilton would like to have a word."
Yeah. And Mike was mad at us because we had been raising hell over the radio during the caution for NASCAR to throw the green flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, laps are clicking off. I'm losing opportunities to get further toward the front with every lap that we run under caution. What the F is NASCAR doing? The track's fine, but just raising hell. And so Mike Hilton said, do me a favor, don't, he said this in a very nice way. He said, don't talk about NASCAR on the radio.
That was a fun conversation we had at the appreciation event in Vegas last year when we had Mike Hilton on stage, and we're like, "Hey, Mike, we've always wanted to know. I mean, I know you know, but we've always wanted to know what goes on in those conversations inside the NASCAR hauler." And he put it out there.
Yeah, me and Tony Sr. were sitting in there by ourselves. We walked into that NASCAR hauler, and they said, "Go right up to the lounge up front." So we walked in there, and nobody was in there. So me and Tony sit down, and we're sitting there talking back and forth about what happened. And getting our stories straight or whatever. And as soon as Mike Hilton walks in, me and Tony Sr. started to open our mouths to plead our case.
No.
We were like, "Hey, Dan, And Mike Hilton said, y'all two are going to shut up and listen. Y'all aren't doing any talking. I'm going to do the talking." That's what he said. And he said, "I don't want to hear one more word about NASCAR on your radio for the rest of your career."
For the rest of your career.
Yeah. He just basically said, never again do you need to say anything bad about NASCAR on your radio. And I'm sure, I straightened it up for a long while. I'm sure there's some instances where I might have let it slip every once in a while, but I was so disappointed in myself because Mike Hilton and Dad were such good friends, and I wanted Mike Hilton to think I was awesome because I had so much respect for him. And in that moment, he didn't think very much of me. And I was so disappointed in myself. And ever since then, I worked really hard to try to, make sure I had that man's respect. But I had never seen anybody shut Tony Sr. up before in my life, except for Mike Hilton.
Well, the fact is that you do have somebody here on Twitter that was saying, never to a reporter, but you did act like a whiny person a few times on your radio channel. So Mike Hilton would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Somebody else brought up the Dega race in 2012, but found out later he had a concussion. So these are things that we
definitely a lot of whiny instances on the radio.
Yeah, that's the whining channel.
I think
that's where you have a pressure relief.
I'm telling you, man, there's something about that radio and the way that the transmission sounds that makes you sound whinier than you really are. I'm serious.
I'm sure.
Jeff Gordon, when you talk to him in person, he sounds a lot higher pitched on the radio.
Right.
Like when you hear him get on there and be like, Ray, the car just isn't really, he doesn't sound that whiny.
I'm sure it's the transmission why Jeff Gordon sounds whiny. Sure. That's it.
All right, man. A lot of questions in. Thanks for everybody joining us on AskJr Live, presented by Nationwide. It's awesome. If we didn't get to your question, we'll try to get to some of them next week, and make sure you join us. We love doing this live on YouTube.
See y'all later. All right, Mike. That's a lot of fun. Pretty good show.
It was.
We covered tons of crap.